Hello, welcome to the English department here at Guilsborough Academy. My name's Mrs. King, I'm the Director of Learning within our department. We offer Key Stage 3 English, Key Stage 4 English Language and Literature and Media Studies BTEC, and we also deliver Key Stage 5 English Language and Literature, English Literature and Media Studies. Our Key Stage 3 years include Year 7 and Year 8. As you can see here, we offer a number of text choices for students to study within each year. We begin in Year 7 with a transition unit to allow students to move comfortably into secondary education. With English being a core subject, there's lots of skills for them to master over their time here with us at Guilsborough Academy. We begin with a telling stories unit, which focuses actually on the theme of doorways. Students will look at extracts from a number of different texts, including Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings being some of the more famous ones. We look at a number of schemes of learning, including Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which is a medieval text thematically looking at magic, identity, power, authority, those kind of things, themes that you will often see in a literature text. There's text on animals in fiction, and for a 19th century offering at Year 7 we look at Sherlock Holmes. Media Studies is also on offer within our Key Stage 3 units. I'll talk more about that in a moment, but in Year 7 it is a superheroes unit, and then in Year 8 it is a Howl's Moving Castle, the adaptation, which is some Japanese anime. As you can see, we offer Shakespeare in both Year 7 and 8, The Tempest and Midsummer Night's Dream in Year 7, and then we look at texts for including Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet and Othello at Year 8, and we also of course study poetry in each year. We look at a number of poems, a collection that we've put together ourselves in Year 8, which allows students to explore a number of different themes. Obviously within each year we endeavour for students to look at poetry, drama, prose, 19th century text, non-fiction and media, and so within those units we'll look at reading skills, writing skills and speaking and listening. With Media Studies not only being a popular choice for students to take at Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5, it is a growing industry in the world around us, so we think it's important for students to experience media in Key Stage 3 as well. We look at superheroes in Year 7. We also, like I said previously, look at Howl's Moving Castle in Year 8. And then at Year 9 we look at the British press industry, how it's evolving over time, its history, and try and encourage our students to be savvy in terms of reading the press and understanding perhaps how politics and persuasion is included within our British press. We also look at a number of theorists, so Vonnegut, Propp and Todorov are some of the theorists that we look at with regards to media studies, and we follow the key media concepts within media: representation, audience, industries and the language used within media.
Year 9 is the third and final year of our Key Stage 3 curriculum for English. We begin the year with a study of Shakespeare's sonnets. Not only is this a really good exploration of some of Shakespeare's lesser known works, so rather than his plays, it's also really important for embedding some of the key skills that students will need when studying the play at Gcse. We explore metre, prose, thematic content such as love, relationships, and it's a really important way of students exploring this poetic form. We then concurrently run a British press unit, so this is our media unit for the year, and this is a writing unit for students. So having studied lots of genre conventions of what newspapers look like, how they're written, what bias means in the media, students then write their own newspaper articles and are assessed for their ability to construct really well organised responses. One of the aspects of the GCSE curriculum that we've found lacking is the fact that there aren't many opportunities for students to study texts from writers of Black, Asian, British or overseas writers, and so we have chosen the text The Hate You Give, a modern text by a Black American writer called Angie Thomas, which gives the students some cultural insight into worlds and experiences and voices from perspectives that they will be less familiar with. We also then include a Gothic unit, so the Gothic being a really important genre for British literature historically, and we look at a number of different texts from the kind of typical Gothic time period, as well as some more modern interpretations of the Gothic, and then students look at how they can interpret their understanding and create their own pieces. We move then on to their final Key Stage 3 study, which is an exploration of 6 openings from young adult fiction novels. They look again, like the Hate You Give, they're designed at exposing students to different voices from different perspectives and walks of life, so different cultures, genders, ethnicities, sexualities, so to really give them a flavour of some of the different kind of voices that they can experience in perhaps some young adult fiction that they've not been exposed to before. We found that this has been a really popular unit with our year that has just moved into year 10. The final stage of the year then is to then move on to their first GCSE text, which is the Poetry Anthology. This is something that is one of the set texts for the course from AQA, so it's a collection of poetry all sourced around the theme of power and conflict. It's a really interesting collection of poems, lots of interpretations of power and conflict, perhaps from the most typical being war, but then also conflicts between identities, relationships, different powerful figures from throughout history, some fictitious, some mythological, and some more realistic. We hope students really enjoy the course and that it prepares them really well for their GCSE study.
The next 3 slides talk you through our breakdown of skills at Key Stage 3, so our reading, writing and speaking and listening skills. Essentially we want students to be confident in each of these areas. We want them to be able to decode, to comprehend and analyse when they are reading texts, and most importantly we want them to be able to choose texts independently that they feel confident reading, that it's going to offer them some cultural capital, make them word rich, vocabulary rich, and also to expose them to as many different writers as they can. We obviously have an LRC at the school which the students are allowed to borrow books from. Our librarian and the team that work within the LRC are really well versed in offering students advice in terms of which text they might like to read next, and obviously the English team are more than delighted to support them in those choices as well. As you can see from the overview here, there are 3 components to the GCSE in English language: the creative reading and writing, the writer's viewpoints and perspectives, and the non-examined assessment unit, which is the spoken language presentation, where they will offer a presentation to their class and then answer some questions. The 2 exam papers are each worth 50% of their final GCSE grade. The first one's a fiction paper where they'll look at an extract from a fiction text and then write a piece of creative fiction of their own. Then in the second paper, writers' viewpoints and perspectives, they'll look at 2 texts with a shared theme and they will answer a number of questions looking at how the viewpoints and perspectives have been delivered. And then in the writing section, they'll create a piece of writing that might be a speech, a newspaper article or a letter, something with a prompt has been given to the students where it will be something that they're going to be able to access at 16 years of age. You'll notice from the 2 the overviews here that there are a number of questions in the reading section. Each of these questions asks students to demonstrate different skills, and so obviously we spend a significant period of time making sure students feel confident and happy with what is required in each question. We hope that students obviously enjoy studying English language. We know that many students find some of the components quite difficult. However, by encouraging students to read as much as they can independently, they will be more confident with the course, and they will inevitably be more successful at the end of it. The English literature course allows students to explore texts from throughout our history. There is a 19th century component as well as going as far back as Shakespeare. And then another text that we tend to favour in the department is Priestley's And Inspector Calls. The exam does require students to look at an anthology of poetry, which is provided by the exam board. This is the one that we do actually start in year 9. There's 15 poems in that, so there's quite a lot for them to remember. So it's good to be able to revisit it in year 10 and 11 as well. You'll notice that there are 2 papers again, just like with English language. The first, the Shakespeare in the 19th century, and then in the second paper, it's the modern text and the anthology poetry, as well as the unseen component, again, which is poetry. There are a number of skills that students have to demonstrate with this course, being able to compare, evaluate, understand writers' intentions, and look at how texts actually fit into the wider culture, the context of when they were written and how they are read. We hope that students obviously enjoy the texts that we choose for them. We want them to have as much cultural capital as they can. Being able to read with confidence is going to ensure students are more successful. So the more that they read in years 7 through 11, the range of texts that they can possibly read, fiction and non-fiction, and obviously poetry, prose and drama texts, we feel the more confident they will be when they come to do their GCSEs, and hopefully will take that love of reading away with them after they've left us. We hope that I hope that this has given you a little bit of an insight into what the English department at Guilsborough offers. Obviously, please do feel free to get in touch with us should you have any questions. Again, my name's Mrs. King, and I look forward to meeting you all perhaps in person one day soon. Take care.